Hey guys, welcome. I want to show you something that I've built. It's a way to generate content using information that a customer might supply you. So here you got the Google form, a Google Sheet, um, the components used for this, an Azure Function App, and Azure OpenAI. So they want to take information from the Google form, which then gets saved to this Google Sheet. We want to use that in a prompt. So we're going to create the prompt within our Azure Function App. Then we're going to send the prompt to Azure OpenAI and get a response. So the way that looks and all the components that I've got set up, I'm going to show you just quickly. So here's the form, and the form itself is going to be connected to, so if you look over here under responses, we're going to connect that to our Google Sheet, and then that will become this sheet over here, creates a sheet for you, and every sheet has got a unique ID, which is up here just after the D. So D / whatever starts in 1 over there, 1QX, all the way to HC at the end. That's the ID of the sheet, and you're going to need that, and you're going to need a sheet name. So you'll see the sheet name's form response 1, and you'll need the ID, of course, and then the row number. And I'll show you how we're going to get the information from this sheet. We're going to use it inside of a prompt. We're going to create a prompt, a dynamic prompt on the fly, and then we're going to do that. So let's just change the name of this, because I know I set the prompt up to be looking at companies in England, so we'll make this on a new market close to where I live, and we'll make this one Cambridge. And then, so I've changed those, and you can see that previously when I run this, I had generated something and it said, "Hi Lily, thanks for your painting project in Pietermaritzburg." So just to make sure it's all working fine, let's just send it off again. The city should change, so it knows that to go and fetch the information from that Google Sheet, use it in a prompt, send it off to Azure OpenAI, and generate some content and bring it back. And so this is going to be the response we're going to get. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's good. There you go. So, dear Lily, thank you for your inquiry regarding your painting project in Newmarket. I appreciate you providing the specifics, including 512 square meters of area in grey charcoal. So let's have a quick look at that. So it's Lily, it's Newmarket, it's grey charcoal, it's 512 square meters. So you can see we've taken this information, created a prompt, send it off to Azure OpenAI, we get a response back. Let's have a look at how we've done that. Now, the first thing you have to do is set this up, is to create yourself a service account. So you're going to come into Google Platform, you're going to go to service accounts, you're going to create yourself a service principal, as we call them in Azure. So create a service account there, and we give that, when you go through the steps, it's going to generate a key, like a long key. Anyway, what they say is you should actually rather use workspace identity federation. I'm like, but it was so complex, I didn't even attempt that. So anyway, I used the key and I've saved it inside of my local settings, and you've got to save that Google application credentials there. So you also have to save it inside of your Azure Function App, of course. So if you look in the Azure Function App, I'll just show you what that looks like. It's over here. And inside of there, I've got environment variables. So the environment variables you will need on your Azure Function App are Google application credentials. So it looks like that. So it starts with a JSON thing, and it's very long. I won't show you mine because it's got the key inside of it, but it's very long and it's got all that stuff in it. And then you also need the Azure OpenAI endpoint, which actually I can show you that. That sits over here, and I'll show you how that all kicks off in the beginning. In the beginning, it wants to know how to connect to your Azure OpenAI. So I've created myself a model in Azure OpenAI. Actually, not really a model. I'll show you what it's called. It's a model router, in fact. And the model router is the cheapest option when generating content, because what Azure OpenAI will do is whatever prompt you send it, it'll work out what kind of prompt it is, and then it'll say, oh, okay, I think you need model X or model Y based on that. So it's a model router. It's, it becomes the cheapest way to generate content. So you just need these are going to be the things you need inside of your local settings if you want to test it locally, as well as your environment variables on the Azure Function App if you want to get it to the cloud, right? So my one, you can see it's a bit small, but you can see that I am querying my cloud function app here. So it's got its own post API endpoint called Call AI Chat, which I created. I'll show you that in a second. It's got a JSON body here. It's obviously got authorization. It's got the API key inside of there. So just in case you don't want anyone to just call your API. And then it's got the information like the Google Sheet, the worksheet's name, and the row number. So those simple things. You can see that this is the prompt that it's sent to OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and you can see that we've got, let's see, we've got where, location. Location. That's odd. It says PMB, which it should say new market really. Oh, there you go. So where's the job? New market. Customer's name is Lily, and it's got the area size. So it's got all the information inside of the prompt, and that's why it's able to generate such a good outcome for us. So showing you how that all works, I've shown you now that you have to go into your Google, you have to create yourself a service account, and then you have to give that service account ability to see the sheet, of course. So that's the whole point about creating the service principal or the service account in Google, is to enable it to read from the sheet, and we're going to use the credentials from the service account inside of our Azure Function App. And the way you can see that is over here. So this thing kicks off, it authenticates against Azure OpenAI, creates a client. You can use that client later on, and then it creates a GC, if you want to call it that. So it goes into here and it creates the Google credentials. It uses the information from the environment variables, which is the Google application credentials, which I just spoke about, which is the service account. And then it escapes these characters. It's got these funny characters in that key you need to get rid of. And then it does, down the bottom here, creates the credentials, and it says the GC will now be this. So gspread authorized creds. Obviously, the requirements, you will need gspread, Google Auth, OpenAI, and Azure Functions inside of your Python environment. So coming back out of that, it'll return the credentials for Google there, and it'll return the credentials for Azure OpenAI there. Now, going back to the Function App, let's see. So we've called this one. Remember, that's the AI endpoint that we called. This AI endpoint is using the Azure auth level function, and we have to give it the API key. So first of all, it does what it gets the request body. So we've sent it the request body, as you can remember. So we've sent it this information, and it uses the information like the Google Sheets, and it says what is the Google Sheet ID, what is the worksheet name, and what is the row number, and it sends it off to this function called generate output. Now, generate output has two helper functions, right? So it's going to first, if you look at it here, this is the generate output here, and it's got two helper functions. The first one being get the form data from the Google Sheet. And you can see that all it needs is the sheet spreadsheet ID, the worksheet name, and the row number. And that uses the GC, which is the Google credentials, and then it goes to the sheet, gets the information from the sheet. Where is it over here? So it gets all the records for that row number, and then it returns the form data. Then, once it's got the form data, we use that form data inside of the create prompt. So that you can see now we're calling the create prompt. We use that form data. This prompt then is over here. It looks like this. So we say, okay, here's the location, the paint color, the paint type, the area size. And we're using it inside of our prompt to generate a prompt on the fly. Right, so let's collapse that. And then it sends off the prompt with the maximum amount of tokens used. So if you want to keep it cheap, you keep your token usage down. Remember, when you are sending a big prompt, that counts towards your token usage. And when you receive your prompt, obviously, it's generating that prompt. So it kind of balances out to see, okay, you've sent us a prompt, that's going to cost you 200 tokens. We'll send you back a prompt worth 800 tokens. And you can set the temperature and the creativity and such within the model. I don't know the very fine details of this, but you can go ahead and look it up yourself. So then it returns the results to the calling API. So if we go back to here, let's see that we've called that function. We go and get the results from that function, and then we return a status 200 with the response data inside there. And then if we look at what that looks like, this is the response data, successful, and this is the output that it has. Now remember, you can use this output anywhere, right? So you can, we can further take this further, and we can create an email draft, for example, from it. But you know, those type of things you could potentially use Power Automate for, to take this JSON body. So you call the Power, you will call the Azure Function App using Power Automate because it's got an HTTP endpoint. You get the JSON body, you create an email draft, and there you go. So simple as that. You can use this JSON output. Just to show you what that looks like inside of Azure OpenAI. I think I've shown you all the aspects now of that. So I've shown you how to get your Google set up. I've showed you the Azure Function App, showed you how to authenticate, how to build that. Of course, I used Copilot, GitHub Copilot to help me build this, giving it quite a bit of guidance. But it's at the end of the day, if you just look at my code, you may be able to figure this all out as well. If you've got GitHub Copilot, then happy days, try it out. Now, just to show you what, this is also super cheap, by the way. So if you've got Azure subscription, then you can do the same thing. So if I go to my Azure OpenAI here, I open up the Foundry, so I'll show you what that looks like. And it doesn't have to cost you the world, honestly. It'd only cost you a lot if you start spinning up Cosmos DBs and training it on your data and such. But for the purpose of this, really cheap. So I mean, I think cheaper than actually buying credits for OpenAI on their platform. Personally, that's my experience. So if I go to deployments down here, we should see. If I switch this out, sorry, there you go. So if I click back on this one, I don't know why I did that. I created one Azure OpenAI, and then I'm still getting quite used to this. But here you go. I've created this deployment, and this deployment is you can actually interact with it on the playground here. Try the chat playground. But this will just be a model router. There will be no context, so you can set the context and then start having a chat. So you could say, you're an AI assistant that helps people find information. Where can I find out about new market race course or something? And then, you should give a response. So there's the response from it. And now this has got a model router version. So remember I said that's quite a cheap one. You can also create one that's from a fine-tuned model or from a base model. Now you'll see that there is some models here. Should load up all the different types of models. Here you go. O4 Mini, 4.1. I personally like the O4 Mini, or actually in fact the GPT 4.1 Mini. I've used that one, very good. 4.0 Mini as well. So there you go, you can create yourself a deployment, and then it gives you the information you need. If you go to is it the overview? It might be here under endpoints, but you can see that it gives you the API endpoint, and you remember that's in our Azure Function App, and it gives you the API key. Obviously, I won't show you that, but then that's all the two things you need, and you can call that Azure OpenAI endpoint. It's real simple. Here you go, line number 9, line number 10. Just tell it which model you're looking at, and really it works very well. You can test it locally as well. So I've got Postman here. I'll show you if I do it locally, but I have to obviously run my function app, which I can just show you very quickly. I was just getting information about my Python environment there. So if I just go to func start, so they'll start up my local function app, and it should tell you what API endpoints are available. It's taking a bit longer than it normally does. There you go. And then what we can do is test that locally. You can see that there's a local host 7071, and the body is that. And let's see if we send it off. Let's see what it does. Didn't give it the row number. Should get the latest row number if I don't. So that's going to call the Google Sheets online, and it's going to call the Azure OpenAI on the web, and it'll generate a output. So there you go, it's done. That's the way you can test locally as well. So there you go. I hope you've got all the tools to hand that you need. Postman, just to test your API endpoints, your Function app, your Google Sheets. So let's have a quick look at that one more time. Google Form, sending information to your Google Sheets. Azure Function App then is going to go and get the information from your Google Sheets, create a prompt on the fly, send it off to Azure OpenAI. OpenAI will send you back a JSON response. There you go. Hope you learned a lot today. Thanks for joining. My name is Clint. Remember to subscribe and like. Thank you.